Is he going to be here?
He is not. Okay. Is the complainant here regarding the dog? If you could step forward, please, ma'am. If you could please have a seat. Town solicitor will swear you in, and you'll give us your name and address.
My name is Dorothy Dunlop. I live at 103 Brook Street, Clinton.
Okay. Dennis?
Before you get started, I just have to procedurally swear you in before the board. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give the Board of Selectmen shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public dog complaint hearing, so we're going to obviously afford you the opportunity to voice your complaint regarding the dog, and then we'll have, if the dog owner's here, also come forward and state their case and potential remedy. The dog officer is not here tonight, but we're interested in both sides, and if we can come to some resolution to it, that's our goal. So if you could please state the issues regarding the dog.
Okay. Starting in the spring. Well, first of all, I moved to town, back to town. I was born and brought up here. I moved back to town when my mother died in '98. And my lawn was in need of repair. So I spent 2 years, a lot of money, getting my lawn perfect. And about the springtime of this past year, I noticed I had these big holes all over the place. And in the summer, they got bigger, and more holes and more holes. I thought I had like some wild animal there, big animal. Well, I found out every day I'd see this big black lab mix, looks like a mix, long hair, in the yard. No tags, just a blue collar. So I happened to be at my vet's. I have a small dog. They told me who owned the dog. So the next day, I took the dog was in my yard, took him back to his owner and said, you know, your dog is always in my yard. I even had a rope. Here's a rope, keep the clip. Could you please keep him in the yard? You know, she said, I opened the door and he snuck out. Well, I heard this every day. Every time I brought him back, I heard the same thing. So I started calling the dog officer. He never called me back, or I couldn't get a hold of him. No return phone calls. So in August, I came up here to the selectman's office and filed a complaint, which I have that. It was August 31st.
Okay.
Never heard anything. So I was up like every week bothering Mr. Ward. I have pictures of my lawn, how it looked last August. I have pictures of the dog in my yard digging holes. You can see the holes he has just dug. I have pictures of him.
Has the dog officer ever made contact with you?
Never.
Mike, do we know why that hasn't occurred? Okay. So that's one issue that we need to address.
Okay. So this is just continuing. So now this is the end of November, and this is just being dealt with now.
Okay, so the dog's loose, the dog's going in your yard, digging up.
Right,
So
but,
your main complaint is the dog's not being leashed?
but that is a problem. He's a nice dog. I am not blaming the dog. The dog is a nice dog. He's friendly. But he's not my dog. I have a dog. And I don't need to be bringing him back to the
No,
owner
we
and
understand.
getting the same thing.
There's a 24-hour leash law in town. so
But if I may ask, if you would just look at the evidence. I have letters from neighbors. I have letters from the vet's office. My dog got deathly ill a few times. I have one of the vet bills. And every time she got sick, it would be at night. I'd have to bring her to that emergency care place in Acton. And they couldn't figure out what her problem was. She vomited, she had diarrhea. They'd put her on antibiotics for like 2 weeks, then it would go away. So they started telling me, well, when you see this dog, because every day this big black dog would defecate in my yard. So they started telling me, well, when he goes, don't just pick it up. Now you have to dig around it in case he has a parasite, a ringworm, or something like that. So now, I have to dig holes
Yeah.
in my own yard because he made a mess, and I have to dig another hole.
Okay. You can certainly bring that forward.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few questions for the administrator. Has the owner of the animal been
Yeah.
notified?
Just look at it. And I put a picture of my dog in there next to a picture of his feces, so you can tell my little dog couldn't possibly make that big of a mess.
I guess my question to the administrator was the owner of the animal notified?
By the dog
And he
office.
said, I think to
Should I be
us,
seated?
right?
Yeah.
By this
Thank you.
office.
By this
I
office.
don't know if the owner has been contacted by the dog officer, that I don't know. When we set up the hearing, we did send a notice, certified mail to the dog owner, and the owner did, in person did sign for it personally.
Yes, the
Okay.
copy of
If
the
the
card.
dog owner's here, if you could please come forward. Rich, if you could state your name, address, and then tell us who's going to make this waiver.
Rich Dion, 144 Lawrence Street.
Sir, could you just raise your right hand, please? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give the Board of Selectmen shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir.
Rich, has the dog officer ever contacted you regarding your dog being loose?
No, we've never heard from the dog officer.
But you did receive notice from Mike, or is that just in regards to the hearing?
We did receive the letter in the mail from the town for
Okay.
this, for this hearing.
Have you made any attempts, the complaint is really, it's about the dog being loose, obviously going to the bathroom in the neighbor's yard and potentially causing the neighbor's dog to be sick.
Well, I can't deny the fact that the dog does get loose. We're fully aware of the 24-hour leash law in town. Unfortunately, I have 4 children, and they like to let the dog out. The dog waits for that opportunity, so I cannot deny that the dog does get out. And what he does from there, I'm not sure. I don't see him. He's gone. He's a roamer. He likes to get out. So I can't deny that the dog does get out. We've tried chaining him up in the house, and
Do you have a run or anything like that for the
we
dog?
do. Yeah, we chain him up. He's probably restrained 90% of the door, or a good
Yeah.
portion of the time. We certainly don't let the dog loose. We don't let him roam or run loose intentionally. He's a big.
When he gets out, have the kids making any attempt to get the dog back into the
The
yard?
dog's long gone. I mean, he.
Just takes
The
off.
door's not closed yet, and he's 100 yards away from the house. I've seen him go. He's gone. We've chained him up in the house. He's a big dog. He's taken the legs off some chairs. And we've tried gating off our deck, but unfortunately, he does get out.
Okay. Are there any questions from members of the board?
How old is your dog?
I'm not real sure. I would have to say between 5 and 8 years old.
You ever take him to a beating training or something like that?
No, we haven't.
Because you may want that, may be an option. They do pretty good work sometimes with that. If he's taking off like that, just
Right.
hold him, he's not calling. When you call him, he's not coming back.
No,
You want to look into that suggestion.
thank you.
Tina, any questions you may have?
Just, I have one,
Yeah.
I guess. Do you have you said you gated off the deck area or something? So you
Yes.
don't have a fenced-in area for the dog, per se?
We have a run out in the backyard for the dog. He's broken the chain a few times. He's not a violent or vicious dog. He's a big, strong dog. We've double chained him. I mean, we've got some good sized chain. He hasn't broken free from his run.
It's just getting out of the house.
We have a double problem here. He barks at night when the sun goes down. I've tried leaving him out, later, so the only time he's in the house is when we can really watch over the kids in the doors real well and lock the doors. But if it's during the day, the traffic in and out of the house, the dog waits for an opportunity. But he barks, once the sun goes down, so I don't want to cause another problem to solve one,
Well, we don't have the dog officer here, but I guess the only thing at this point, without having any formal notice from the dog officer to you folks, is that, we have to ask you to make every absolute effort to keep the dog restrained and leashed, for the leash law. Because if the dog officer does, catch the dog loose, it's going to be fines and you'll be issued and then you'll be back here.
Right.
It's clear that the dog is getting loose and getting in the neighbor's yard. The other thing I would suggest is, making an effort to making sure the dog's being cleaned up after. If it does get loose,
Right.
someone follow up
Certainly.
the end of the day trail where it tends to be at the neighbor's yard. Make sure that the dog's not being loose, ultimately, is the goal here, is not to accept that.
Right.
So, I don't think we can really take any formal action other than request that you keep the dog leashed. We don't have formal report from the dog officer in regards to this dog at this point in time, and with Steve not here, I'd like to understand why there's been no callbacks to the complainant, and also why you haven't been notified in regards to it. So we'll deal with the dog officer and have discussion on that, just to understand where he's coming from.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just as, for the sake of discussion on the issue, I firmly believe that that there is a 24-hour leash law, that Ms. Dunlap, I don't believe that she should have to tolerate this. I mean, it's the responsibility of Mr. Dion to make sure that his animal does not infringe upon her privacy.
Right. No, I agree with you, but we don't have a town official that's...
No, I'm just saying, I mean, that's the position I would take. Obviously, we don't have a report from the
Right.
dog officer.
Not by lawn.
Well-
Did you see it?
So,
Well, then I guess my suggestion would be that as soon as the dog officer comes back, that we do place this on the agenda as again, a formal hearing where the dog officer can explain, number one, as you said, that why he has not followed up with phone calls made.
right,
And
right.
Just if the board wanted to do that, if the board would just continue, keep the hearing open and continue
That's fine.
to the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I would so
or-
move that we leave the hearing open and continue at a later date, hopefully the next meeting.
Is there a second? I guess just on the discussion, I don't feel that we have any grounds to take action on this particular hearing, just due to the fact that we've had no formal report or complaint issued to the dog owner prior to this hearing even being open. So that's my position would be, we have a member of the town that has photographs and has got a valid complaint, but we haven't taken action as a community to notify them formally that their dog's been loose. So it's tough for us to take action against their loose dog without our dog officer actually.
Understand.
Okay. The motion to continue the hearing has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motions, we had a hand up in the audience.
I just want to make a comment. It's not the reason I came to this meeting, but I just wanted to be public knowledge that I had a problem with the dog in town. I lived on Cedar Street for 4 years. For 3 years, I had a problem with the dog, and I called the dog officer, and I got 0 callbacks. I went to the police station. I just wanted to be public record.
Okay.
There's a lot of problems in that area, and it should be addressed.
That can be addressed in public comment, though, if it's not particularly to this. Okay, we'll continue the hearing when the dog officer is available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, new fire hires. Good evening,
Board's
Chief.
aware, we've had 3 or 4 people leave the department in recent months. We've been through all the process now to fill the first 3 vacancies. A couple weeks ago, you met the first new employee in the fire department. Tonight, I would ask to come before you to introduce the second and third newest firefighters. The first one that started on Tuesday is Kenneth Janda. Yeah, lives on Pleasant Street. He was a police officer in Bolton. We're happy to have him as a firefighter instead. He has left the Bolton Police Department employee. He's now under our employment. And the second one tonight, I wish to introduce, it'll be starting next Tuesday, December 4th, is Sean Gray. He lives at 928 Main Street. He and his wife and children own the house down there. Both of these candidates came with high recommendations from not only employers, neighbors, references, the police department. More or less been pretty thorough with the checks on them.
Very good. Well, welcome both of you to the town
Congratulations.
force, and best of luck and best of health, and stay safe. We welcome you to the town department. You got a good team to work with down there.
Absolutely.
They are EMTs, so they're actually taking some of the strain off the other guys right away, as far as the ambulance goes.
Chief, I noticed that we have another retirement in November. Announced his retirement. Are we going to post for a position for that?
Yes, we will be.
Are you able to call for a list?
I will
already?
be calling for a list.
We can't use the list that we've worked up for these two gentlemen, or is there, this past summer when we looked into how much time had to elapse or not elapse, are you able to have to wait and forced into waiting for another list, or can you work off that same list?
I'll ask permission.
Okay.
This time it did work because it was so close to the date of
Right,
issue and all.
What are we
that
going
they
now
did give
on?
us permission.
4 weeks, 5 weeks?
For what now?
How much time has elapsed since the last time we called for the EMT list? Probably 6 or 7 weeks.
Probably 5 weeks, 6 weeks anyways.
I'm just,
Some
for
of
the
it-
sake of time, if we can work off that list, it'd be quicker to fill the vacancy.
A lot of it, the delay even with these two candidates was the physical abilities test. Once we go through the process, decide who we're hiring, we give a conditional job offer, they've got to go through a medical exam before we can send them down for the physical abilities test. So the medical exam, and they give the physical abilities test once a month with a preview so that they get a chance to at least see what they're going to be going through. And whenever that particular date happens to fall, we could wind up delaying it a month, or we could be lucky and wind up with it in 2 weeks. But that's the biggest delay we ran into.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah.
do have a question. It was not in relation to firefighter hires, but rather an outstanding bill that was unpaid
Yep.
for a visit that Mr. McNamara, Officer McNamara, had at Clinton, I believe it was Clinton Hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious of what the status is of that.
It's the first I heard of a bill that's outstanding.
I know it was in our correspondence. I think it was
Yeah.
either the last meeting or the meeting before.
There's something that we got copied on that was regards to the initial visit the night of the fire.
No clue.
No, okay. It's,
So, did you?
if you could get, just so we get it coordinated and get it resolved.
Normally, when we get the bills, we send it off to Metatrol, they do the screening, they take a look at it, they tell me whether it's valid or not, and set the price in that particular situation, and I don't believe the bills are going to amount to more than $1,000, so we pay it.
Yeah.
I do have money encumbered to pay them.
Yeah, it
each
was
year.
definitely less than that. I mean, it was
Each
just-
year I encumber,
But
I know.
it's been outstanding. I think the
It's been
second outstanding bill came in.
Yeah.
a lot of times, and I've run into it with this individual where he'll get them
Talking
at home and
about
I'll never see them.
To the correspondence we had about the outstanding bill for Officer McNamara from Clinton Hospital.
Okay.
And the chief said that he wasn't aware that there was any outstanding. Do we have copies of that, Michael? Was it in our correspondence?
Yeah. Oh, no, I think it was sent to the board members directly.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't get my own copy of it.
Okay.
If we can get that copy of the bill to the chief, even if we can get it to him tonight so that we can get that resolved. It's not big dollars. I think even less than $100. Do you know? I think it was $55. It's the initial visit on the night of the fire.
This has been his style throughout his career, was rather than come to
We just got it.
Locus.
Whether it came back from the followed up, I don't know, but I know it's the second notice that they received on not having it, so. if we can just-
Yeah, I'm dealing with bills still from 1999 and before where
We just want to get them,
it's quite common.
we just want to get them picked up.
Get that squared away.
Yeah.
you know.
But you two gentlemen, we do welcome you to the force. You got a good group of people to work with down there, and again, safety and health to you both, and we wish you a long career here in town.
Congratulations.
Best of luck.
Take care. And Chief, if you could just touch base with Mike and get that moved as well. Thank you. Next on the agenda as we fly. Oh, the administrator's report, minus the administrator. Getting tricky here, Jolisa.
I'll make a motion to go out of order and go into all the new business.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just skip to old and new business, Mary Rose. Under old and new business, this past Saturday, we had the Selectmen's Holiday Party, and once again, it was a huge success due truly to the efforts of Jolisa Osborne, our Selectman Secretary. Thank you, Jolisa, for
Thank you.
coordinating a great day for all the kids in Clinton. It's,
Did an outstanding job. Happened to be there, did a great job.
I'm sure, and for the volunteers from the fire department, Torini's, and then the numerous business associates in town that donated, we appreciate all the support. But in particular, Jolisa, you really do a bang-up job every year, and the kids enjoy it, so.
We do have a list here, Mr. Chairman, if you want to.
Sure, go right ahead.
You wanted to read them off? or-
I can do that. Rigonetti Memorials, Clinton Savings Bank, Corner Sports, David Caruth, Farragher, Laterio and Hennebury, J.R. Grady, Legacy Publishing, Leominster Credit Union, Lou's Diner, Nitro, Apollo Real Estate, Bates & Sons, Realty Vision, Robert McNally Funeral Home, Rock Bestis, Star Financial, and Whitney Brothers. Again, thank you to all of those contributors, and in particular, thanks to Jolisa for coordinating and pulling this off again. It's a great day for the kids in town, so. Way to start off the busy holiday shopping season, too. So, thanks again. Also under old and new, old and new, that's where we're at. Holiday Pops is requesting the Selectmen's assistance in making a donation to help fund the costs. This is an annual thing, Michael, that we support, correct?
Yeah, each year since the beginning of the program, the board has made a donation each year.
Do you know how much we donated last year?
Do you remember? You were chairman. Was it $1,250?
I believe so, but I could.
Yeah, I think it might have been $1,250, I think.
Pleasure of the
Do we
board.
have that available?
Yeah.
Also moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that is, the Holiday Pops concert will be held at Town Hall on December 8th. Boards and commissions. We have some appointments I think we should be in a position to make tonight. We still have some commissions that require additional applicants, folks. So if there's if one of the members would like to go down, Mary Rose, I don't know if you have the list. You guys have the list?
On the reappointments, Mr. Chairman, on the zoning board of appeals, I would move Cynthia Zerkott of 75 New Walnut Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the zoning board of appeals, we have as an alternate Edward Friel of 8 U Street, Clinton.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Conservation Commission, we have Gilbert Courier of 113 Walnut Street.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have Robert Lanza of 15-35 South Meadow Road, Conservation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fuller Field Commission, we have Peter McNally,
I'll second.
17 Schlag Street.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alternate Electrical Inspector Arthur Mayo, of 323 Chestnut Street.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aaron Tyler for Conservation Commission, 19, oh, I'm sorry, fence viewer,
Fence
David
viewer.
Ross.
David Ross. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. In discussion, Mary, I apologize. She knows who I'm talking about.
Town Council James Farragher.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Weeks Fund Trustees, Betty Plepsky, Betty Godonsky, and Sarah Parker.
All in favor?
Aye.
On the vacancies, Conservation Commission. Someone want to,
I'll make a motion that we appoint Ara Tyler to the Conservation Commission.
Second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Zoning Board of Appeals,
Make a motion that we appoint Barry Rogers to the Zoning Board of Appeal alternate.
all in favor?
Aye.
Personnel Board,
Make a motion that we appoint Marianne Castillo and Wilfredo Vasquez Poole.
Second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
all in favor?
Aye.
Historical Commission,
Make a motion to appoint Dinora, Carabella, Alan Mueller, and Elaine Patterson.
is there a second?
Second that motion.
All in favor of those three?
Aye.
Aye. Cultural Commission,
Make a motion to appoint Marianne Castillo.
have we appointed her to something already? I thought we did.
Yeah, we
Personnel
did.
Board. Do we know if she's open to serving on multiple commissions?
When she put in her letter, she had put down three different boards.
She's eager.
If available. yeah.
Fine,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, Mary Ann.
Yeah, thank you.
So the motion's been made, is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Disability Commission,
I make the motion to appoint Ellie Brewster.
is there a second?
Second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Under discussion, we do need an additional applicant to come forward, if you would volunteer. All in favor?
Aye.
Recycling Commission,
I'll make the motion to appoint Michael Ward. Our 11th time.
is there a second?
Second that motion.
My goodness,
He gets moved to-
that's a
Yeah,
stretch.
if
I'll
any-
vote, but reluctantly.
if anyone out there is interested in serving on the recycling commission, feel free, but we didn't have anyone apply, and I go to the meetings anyway, so I figured I'd get credit for coming.
There you go.
We need somebody to move the heavy stuff too.
All right.
All in
Mike's a good
favor?
lifter. Aye.
Yeah.
That might
So
be
we
my
filled,
negotiation.
we do need an additional Conservation Commission, and we'll take it from there. Okay. Still on the old and new, we have schools, fields, filtration plant. We had a meeting, was it yesterday, Michael?
Yes.
Yesterday with the DPW superintendent, with the school superintendent. We discussed the different issues surrounding the Fields project and the initial sewer plant location and the current sewer filtration plant, water filtration, excuse me, plant, and the $40,000 that basically was an agreement that was made in regards to the sewer lines being run a couple years ago, was agreed to be paid back into the school's field project. So I believe they're looking for us to okay that, correct, Michael?
Right.
Just as a clarification, Mr. Chairman, the bill that we're looking at a 50/50 split on it? Is that what we're
This is,
looking at?
yeah, but this wasn't even part of either project.
Which one?
This here, yeah. And it was about a 60-40 split on the cost. That was agreed to.
Right, on the original.
Initially, it was agreed to.
Right.
So it was about 60 on our end and 40 on their end. And they did their amount of work a couple of years ago with clearing trees and loom and as well as the lawn. And then
So all that he's doing is just demonstrating what the.
some of the additional costs
cost.
that he's incurred.
And
But there's a lot of different variables to these costs. The location of the plant moved. There were different things that were covered. This here fell between both projects. Wasn't identified in the Fields project, wasn't identified in the filtration plant. So I think based on the discussions that occurred several years ago, town administrator was involved in, I think everyone felt agreeable that the $40,000 that was taken out of the Fields project to do the work for the sewer lines and some other work for the filtration plant site be reimbursed back to the Fields project out of the sewer project. They had money allocated for the work.
Right, and actually it was 60% paid by the school, and the town is paying for it.
Okay, so I
Yeah,
understand.
so it was the
I had
other
a
way
flip
around. And when they went ahead, they incorporated the design need for the filtration plant in their project to accommodate both projects, and it was a cost savings to the filtration project.
Right.
Some repair work that needed to be done afterwards negated,
Some
some
of
of
the
those
cost
savings, but the school is now left short on finishing their project because, they didn't anticipate it not being done right. They anticipated getting this money that would help them finish their project. So now they're left with unfinished fields because this money hadn't been reimbursed to them. So it was kind of a situation where, we had achieved some savings and they went ahead because they thought they were getting this payment and it was saving the filtration plant money by doing it this way. Now, hindsight's 20/20, and after the fact, we found out, we didn't really save that much, but they're still left now holding the bag of an unfinished project because they were anticipating this money, so.
They expended that cost of $40,000.
Exactly. To put in the sewer line, which
Right.
is now shorting them on the
Right.
remainder of
Well,
the
I mean, I
field
think a
work.
commitment's a commitment. So, I mean, I would move that whatever was agreed upon, that we should fulfill our commitment.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Again, on the discussion, I did take part in the meeting with both superintendents along with town administrator. And I felt it was agreeable and it was the right thing to do as well.
The bottom line is, if I'm not mistaken, is that money that we're using to pay, give to the schools on that agreement that happened, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
It's money we could potentially be using for the waterworks, repair piping and stuff like that?
No, it's part of the filtration plant. There was money allocated for sewer lines and infrastructure work up there that got spent 2 years ago getting the groundwork done with the line by the school system so they incorporated it in their project.
It was supposed to better enhance what we needed to do. And as Michael said, it didn't quite come out exactly the way that we anticipated it would, but my feeling is that it was a commitment that we made.
Right.
And certainly,
And some of the variables changed
Sure,
over the years
yes.
as well. The location changed a little bit due to soil testings and things like that. But all in all, it was a cost savings. We didn't put it in the
Right, the two things, one, there's gonna be even further cost savings because that cost by the school expending it will be eligible for the 73% reimbursement by SBAB. And secondly, it is now a cost line item that was then deleted from the filtration project. So we're probably potentially, if we had to put in the line ourselves, then that $100,000 we would have had to have paid on the filtration plant. So if we put in two lines side by side, it may have cost the town $150,000, $200,000 instead of the $100,000. And it's just unfortunate that some of the repair work that was needed kind of evened out some of those savings, but the initial idea was to save the town money and get a better deal for it.
And it was, you're able to tie the two projects or the line into the project by, that's the sewer line system for the field house, for the ball field, so that's how you get the reimbursement. So it's an actual connection being made into the field house, and that's how you get the 73%.
Right. It was the economies of scale of doing it all at once and getting the reimbursement from the school side, that really made it a good deal for the filtration, but for the town in general.
Right.
And then after the fact, there were some other things that happened, but I think all in all, it probably, the bottom line would either be probably the same or, maybe a little bit to the plus, but it would allow them to finish their project.
So the motion's been made. Was it seconded?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last on your old and new one is the,
Yeah, this last issue that I would ask that the board, at the end of the meeting, will have an executive session under Article 6 for land, surplus land discussion, but I would also ask maybe after that to come out of executive session and go back in under Article 3 under potential litigation, and we could discuss this issue under that item.
Okay.
Just to get some direction from the board, because it may, depending on how we decide, it may go further. So
Okay.
I'd rather have it discussed in executive session.
all right. Motion to go back on the agenda to administrative report.
Also move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We just had two quick items. One was Corcoran School will be holding their annual holiday open house at their facility tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 5, and they just would like to serve beer and wine at that reception for their residents and guests, and they asked for permission to do that from the board.
I'll make a motion to grant the request.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And they have adequate insurance under their policy, will cover any liquor liability for the event
Liability.
as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next is just late night closings for the month of December. We have Jack's, Old Timer, Scooby-Doo's, and we've also gotten requests from Crystal Cafe and Gale House Grill.
I'll make the motion to grant the request for late night closings for Saturdays in the month of December.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
One abstain.
Thank you.
Committee reports. Any committee reports? Just a quick update on the school project. There was some press reports regarding the town looking to fire the general contractor or something along those lines. That is not the case at all, being the chair of that building committee. We are trying to work with the, and we're formally going to notify the surety, which is just an avenue we have as a community to help us leverage and work with the contractor in getting themselves on schedule. And we're worried as a building committee that the building's not being done or will be done on time. The contractor continues to stand behind his schedule, and that he has every right to do that. But we as a building committee feel compelled when we don't think we're getting there on time, that we want to pursue an avenue of notifying the surety, which is basically their bonding factors. Doesn't mean we're looking to take action of removing them from site or anything like that. But hopefully they can help us intervene in getting them either more personnel or just moving their whole schedule ahead, or getting more accurate schedule information from them. Right now, as a building committee, we're concerned that that building won't open on time. The issues we have seem to be statewide, that many schools are running into delays in schedule. So we're not going to accept that. We want a school being built on budget with the highest quality, but also on time. So we're going to just do everything we can and pursue all of our avenues that we have to make sure that the builder completes his contractual obligations for the town. So we're not, taking any kind of action of removal. In case people are concerned out there in the community, that's not our intent.
How far behind is the building?
Well, again, according to the general contractor, they're looking at completion on time, turning over the building in July. We feel that it's at least a couple months, if not more than that, behind. But that's our
So is this a
somewhat layman's position that we're just, looking.
difference of opinion, basically? They're saying they're going to finish on time, and the
Right.
committee's saying no.
And they
they're not.
have every right to say that.
Right.
And,
So they feel they're going to be open by, the school will be ready by September 2002?
That is the builder's perception. We do not feel that's accurate.
Okay.
So we're working with them. We want to do anything we can as a community, and as a building committee, and as a school system to make sure that we give them the support they need to get it done. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're doing all of our due diligence to notify them of our concerns, to notify them of the ramifications of not completing a project on time. And that, we are not going to sit back and not take action if things don't occur appropriately. So we're just staying on top of it, but we also want to make sure that the community is aware of the fact that we have some concerns about the timeliness of the school being open. Okay, so that's a committee report regarding the elementary school building. Any others?
Just not to keep bringing it up, but people have been asking me on the, and Selectman Mendoza was there, along as well as Town Administrator Michael Ward, on the recycling day we had a few weeks back. It was a great success. A lot of people turned out, and some other people, come to find out, didn't make it, so there are a lot of questions around town if we're going to have another one. We are looking to have another one. The Recycling Commission hasn't met since that recycling day we had, but we are looking to hopefully have another one of those days, probably in the spring, I'd say in April sometime. So just to let everyone know if anyone's
Okay.
watching that was
Very good.
required before.
All right. If there are no other committee reports, public comment? Come forward.
Hi, my name's Kevin Cogan, and I guess to reiterate the comment that I made earlier about the
Sure.
dog officer, I went through severe frustration and a vicious dog that was on my street, and my kids getting off the bus, not being able to walk home. Luckily enough, in the 3 or 4 years that's passed, this dog's got too old to go off his front lawn. But, I mean, I called, I gotta say, 20 to 25 times. I might have got 2 calls back. I know Steve Mudgett. I know his wife. I don't mean to make any enemies, but I feel that the town is definitely expending money that is not necessary in funding a dog officer that clearly does not do his job.
Well, I
And
went
that-
to our public record as far as the reports that we get. The volume of calls, sir, that he gets in a given month is well below. Now, we had an issue tonight, and we'll certainly talk to the dog officer regarding correspondence, but he gets several calls a week regarding barking dogs, or dogs
Right.
being loose, legitimate nuisances to neighborhoods and things like that. I'm not dismissing it, but he does get numerous calls. So I just would point you to the number of calls that he does respond to, and it is a matter of record when we approve the reports. You can certainly look them up.
Public
Okay.
knowledge.
Yeah. So
When is that position available?
the dog officer,
Yes.
we appoint.
It's actually under the personnel bylaw, so unless, once appointed, it falls under the bylaw, which would then give protection, so it would, I guess, have to be a reason to remove him unless he steps down on his own at that point, so.
Okay.
If there's performance issues, then it's something that the board would deal with and decide how to handle that, but it's
Right.
not an annual appointment or,
What is the fee, what is his salary for being the dog officer in Clinton?
$11,000.
Wow.
Sir, where do you reside? If I may ask?
I'm sorry?
Where's your home address?
189 Cedar Street.
Okay. Thank you.
The real meaning of me coming here tonight is I'm interested in purchasing the property on 9092 Chestnut Street. I understand it's on a list of buildings that's slated for demolition in town. My intentions would be to buy it, rehab the two-family, make it a viable apartment house. And I was wondering what avenues I would take to pursue that.
We're going to be going into executive session tonight to discuss properties in town, and so we'll have a formalized list of what properties we're going to be addressing with our demolition.
Has that property been taken by the town?
Do we have that listed?
No.
It hasn't been
That is a
taken.
private parcel.
So if the
private-
taxes were cleared and the parties were paid, that property could be sold?
Exactly, yeah, yeah. It was my understanding that there may be some estate issues attached to it, but it is not a town piece of property, it's still in private ownership, so.
Okay, and if it does get taken by the town, it would be available on a public auction type?
Yeah, it would, but the foreclosure process is a very lengthy process, so it would be quite some time before the town.
Okay, so I could, I guess, try to find the heirs
Right.
and try to do it privately
Exactly.
and not without the town. Now, does that, what issues would that bring up? If it is on a list to be demolished from the town, if it was purchased, what would I have to do to make sure that that got removed from the list? Or is that a building department issue, or?
I think those are discussions that the chairman indicated we're going to be
Yeah.
having.
Okay, now, you had made a comment, I don't address these meetings often enough. You said something about coming back into session after the executive session, was that?
We have two different executive sessions, one under Article 6 and then one under Article 3, which is dealing with a legal action and contractual.
But you won't be having a public forum
No,
after that?
no.
When again will you be discussing that, or when would be the next meeting that
We
you?
meet every 2 weeks, so.
So the next 2 weeks from Wednesday, from today?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
I'm not
much.
saying we're going to have an answer regarding the property in 2 weeks. but we-
Right, but I can pursue that on my own through
Sure.
trying to contact the owners or whatever. Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Motion to go into executive session? Under Article 6. Roll call vote.
Aye.
Mayor Rose? Stephen? Aye. Pino? Chair votes aye. We will not be referring to other than signed warrant.